Welcome to the Dad and Sons podcast. On this show, we have to destroy chaos. I'm out to destroy chaos. George,
who are you going to destroy?
Do you want to destroy chaos with me? I have a burning urge to destroy chaos.
Only if it's chaos. I don't want to destroy order and reason, just chaos.
I must destroy chaos and wear really normal t-shirts from what looks to be H&M.
You say normal t-shirt, but I swear that thing is a, onesie with, the big flap.
It looks half like a diaper. Yeah, like I should be able to pee in my pajamas in the middle of the night.
And, everyone's dunking on the famous character profile of him from the front with the flap, but even from behind, there also is a flap. It looks like you were supposed to stick the two flaps together.
I'm gonna destroy chaos in my pajamas. I must destroy chaos.
I'm super ready to take a shit because I undid my male leotard and I don't have to undo the flap when I need to poop after killing chaos.
And also going to the toilet in my very convenient pajamas.
Feel the pain!
I gotta watch the trailer for this.
I'll crush you!
Well, the thing is that I don't really know if you're gonna get it unless you have, good, clean audio, because, I had such a visceral reaction to the stuff that guy said. Oh my god, did we just get right into it? We're not even 2 minutes in. Should we have saved this?
No. That's welcome to the Dad and Sons podcast. We have been watching E3. We've been watching E3. Well, two of us have.
Yeah, I've only watched things that people have sent me, like A Plague Tale 2, which looks great.
Yes.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, and Elden Ring, which looks like a Dark Souls.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I know. It's probably gonna be great when it comes out. I don't get the same vibes like I got from Sekiro, where I'm like, "Ooh, I want to play this game. This looks good." It just seems, textures look like shit. Like the same old Dark Souls stuff. Not to get anyone angry. It's just, it's probably gonna be great. It just looks like the same stuff. I was expecting something a little bit more spicy, The horse is cool.
I'm just going to go ahead and jot down Elden Ring on the timestamps at 2 minutes in. We're talking about Elden Ring now. Hello and welcome.
Guys, I thought that... I'm just going to spoil it. I haven't been that impressed by everything at E3 this year, but Elden Ring came out, Geoff Keighley coming out with a banger. I thought it looked great.
Yeah?
You can get what they're going for with that game from that trailer. Open world, exploration. It's still, similar storytelling the way they do with Souls. But I must admit that the monster designs or the boss designs were so much more interesting to me than previous bosses. Dude, a 9-arm Irish king that has a dragon head for one of his arms. Come on.
Yeah, but at the same time, let's see, 2 minutes and 20-ish seconds in, you see what is almost like a copy paste of Smog from Dark Souls. 2 minutes, 17 seconds in, rather.
There are some similarities for sure, but the game literally overloads you with bosses. Well, the trailer does. It overloads you with all of these enemies because it's look, these are interesting. And the giant turtle with a freaking bell underneath it that moves, you'll have to definitely jump onto it at some point. Also the crawling hand with eyes that runs up to you. They from that trailer, all I could tell is they are super confident in their bosses they've made this time around, which made me really excited. And I don't know, it felt like an evolution of combining the stealth of Sekiro and the fast-paced nature versus also being able to play Dark Souls in a kind of Dark Souls-y setting. I was impressed. I really liked it. And a dragon catches a lightning bolt and then throws it at you.
Like in the opening cutscene of Dark Souls?
But he catches the lightning bolt. Catches it. It strikes down from the sky and then he catches it and throws it at you. That is so badass. I've never seen
Are
anything
me and George
so
agreeing? I don't think that ever happens.
Wait, you do? Do you remember Super Mario Odyssey? That was the one time.
Wait, it was just it's a Mario game. We're getting moons.
Yeah, both of you were that game sucks.
No, I think I am with Matt, but I am also not ready to shit all over it because I'm sure it's going to be fine.
Oh, because I say it looks like Dark Souls doesn't mean I'm not going to play it. Doesn't mean it looks like complete shit. Yeah, it just looks like Dark Souls.
It's just been done before, you know? And that's fine.
Come on, guys. Guys, come on, man. Look at the horse does a double jump and then also can like disappear and reappear out of thin air. It's fucking so cool.
Yeah.
And then everything else was fine. End of podcast.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that Demon Souls came out in 2008, which is
many, many moons ago.
12 going 13 years ago. Dark Souls was 2011, which is straight up 10 years ago.
That is crazy.
And also, the quality and the fidelity of the graphics doesn't exactly look like as big a next-gen jump as some other games we've seen this E3.
Yeah.
And recently, like Ratchet and Clank, I think, is the first one where my eyeballs are actually able to spot the jump this time.
Guys, I just had a horrid realization where Dark Souls was 10...
That Elden Ring looks old?
No, it doesn't look old to me. I thought in 60 frames and everything, it looked great. But Dark Souls 10 years ago, when I was 21, and 10 years before Dark Souls, I was 11. So the time between when I was 11 and Dark Souls is the same as the time between now and Dark Souls. That is crucifyingly horrible.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
That means there are people listening to this who were like a child when Dark Souls came out and are now like adults. Oh,
like you remember the line in Bo Burnham's Welcome to the Internet where he talks about how mommy let you use the iPad and you were only 2.
Use your iPad. Yeah, there are people who were 11 when Dark Souls came out who are now 21 and can drink.
And when we were 11, we were playing games like Deus Ex, Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, Pokemon. And then when we were 21, we saw graphics and gameplay change so much that we were playing Dark Souls and Demon Souls. And
2001 was when I was 11. So that's Metal Gear Solid 2 or 3? Is it? No, it's 2.
I think the more lukewarm reaction from Matt and I comes from that perspective of
Do you
how
think it looks
slower
old?
the
Really?
curve is going.
It does look like Dark Souls. Like even Demon Souls on the PS5 looks.
I think that's just
better.
a credit to its aesthetic because I think you're right there, but that's a different company, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's a credit to the aesthetic because I think if you actually looked at Dark Souls, like a video of the original release of Dark Souls, you'd be like, and then compared it side by side with Elden Ring, you'd be horrified by how muddy and terrible Dark Souls looks.
I guarantee there's going to be a monster factory of the character creation. I guarantee.
Some things are guaranteed.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure they didn't do anything to the character models, like the faces and everything. It's going to look like Oblivion. Like it's going to look so shitty, which sucks.
The trailer even begins with an old woman saying cryptic things.
Yeah, like it's this. I was expecting something different because wasn't this in a partnership with who?
George R.R. Martin.
Yeah,
George. Yes,
I expected some more stuff.
So it's as expected. Supposedly, he did all the world building. He came up with the tarnished idea and then just passed it over to FromSoftware. This probably happened like 3 years ago.
Instead of the cursed, you're the tarnished. Gotcha.
Because there's no way he's working on the game. And they've said already that it's going to be very similar in the way Dark Souls storytelling is, which is very piecemeal. Player has to find it out for themselves, piece it together. That's, of course, never going to change. It's a Souls game. But all the world building of the characters and stuff like I think even the nine-armed king, he was drawn from Irish mythology by George R. R. Martin and stuff like that.
What about Bloodborne? There was more story there. Is it going to be like Bloodborne or is it going to be like Dark Souls?
It's probably an evolution. I mean, Sekiro is the one that had the most story.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that made Bloodborne's story so fun to go through is that it's been done less before than the decayed medieval kingdom. Decayed Victorian England isn't quite as much a setting you see so much.
Yeah.
What? See it in every vampire game ever.
And there aren't as many good vampire games as there are good medieval fantasy games.
Which is weird, because this E3 had a lot of vampire games.
Do you guys want to talk about a vampire game? This is
This
What's
is
the
great.
name so I can click the trailer and watch it?
Right?
It's a Bethesda game called Redfall.
Yeah,
Redfall.
Control F on the outline for Redfall. They have a cinematic trailer showing off more of the character personalities than the gameplay, so you don't really know how it plays.
It's
but
one of those trailers. Yeah, it's one of those trailers where it's like, look at this
CGI.
quirky squad.
Yeah.
I also don't know about how I feel about this one either, because they looked like they were kind of annoying people.
Oh, it's like a squad shooter type thing.
Kind of, that's what it looks like.
You can't tell. It's a cinematic trailer. It could be PvE, it could be PvP. You see personalities on the vampire side of the fight they're having too, but it doesn't clarify if it's co-op PvE or competitive PvP. You play as a party of sarcastic, quirky, Whedon-esque snark people and shoot vampires with guns and special powers. And I wish more trailers were not like this. You know, I wish more trailers were not like the Outer Worlds 2 trailer.
I think there's place for both, but yeah, I would rather see the gameplay too as well. So maybe 2 trailers would be nice. I don't think that's how marketing works, but
It's not. And the tone of the Redfall trailer is just also so intensely sarcastic and snarky and deliberate quirky that I feel like I'm kind of sort of being patronized a little bit. They're so casual about violence, and it's like their deaths doesn't matter. The people they're killing don't matter. They don't act like they're really in danger. It's squeaky clean video game violence.
as shooting games in general.
Yeah, which I appreciate how there was a little less of that this year. But yeah, anyways, Liam, do you have any thoughts about this Redfall trailer? This is also, another point that does make it important is Arcane.
I don't like vampires. Yeah, it's Arcane, which is
actually a positive on the list. Like,
which is I think at this point we can take it as positive, which is weird because then you think about I wonder which one of the Arcane studios it is, because of course one of them's been working on Deathloop for a while. I don't really have any feelings. I thought the trailer was fine. I thought it did something really generic, which is that squad-based quirky characters that don't really get along, joking and quipping with each other.
Could be a hero shooter. We don't really know, but it looks like a lot of all the above.
But I cannot understate this enough. I honestly don't care about vampires whatsoever in video games. I don't think I've played a vampire game I ever really liked. Maybe Blood Rain 2 back in the day. But I don't know. It was fine. It was just fine.
What do we think about all the people who thought Redfall was going to be an Elder Scrolls game instead?
Well, you can't really blame them. I mean, it has the word fall in it.
It sounds like it.
Stalker 2? After years?
Okay, there we go.
Whoa.
This feels like it wasn't as big a deal as it should be. Or is it just
for me? It kind of was. This actually, I think, is my highlight of this year was Stalker 2. I think that game looks beautiful. I think that the way they framed the trailer around a campfire story is very, very smart and shows that they also are super aware of a lot of little quirky stuff that Stalker fans want from the tone and the atmosphere, like when the PDA makes its distinctive noise. And the animation in this game, this is another one where I feel like my eyeballs can finally see the jump from generation to generation. It looks good. It doesn't look so good it might be bullshit. It looks doable on a next-gen console or 3080 next year. I think the animations are gorgeous. There's so much stuff moving around on the screen, too, for the typically sterile post-Soviet decay environment. It looks charming and full of humanity despite the industrial rust of everything. This is like what I was closing my eyes and visualizing Stalker 2 be, and I felt pandered to and satisfied by this one.
The gun looks bloody lovely in the light reflections.
Yeah. I would be happy to play something else other than Metro, you know? I like Metro, but it's just I mean that's what Metro is, right? It was made off of this stuff. Yeah. So
it's a open worldy sandboxy.
Yeah.
Metro is the linear Call of Duty version of the open world sandboxy concept.
Yeah.
And that aesthetic is popular this year. There was also Chernobyl Light, and I think some Tarkov stuff that was revealed too. Yeah, wandering around.
It's on early access for a while. Yeah,
wandering around Soviet ruins and getting tetanus is apparently something a lot of game developers want to do over these next few years.
What else is good on here? Psychonauts 2?
I was also impressed with the aesthetics and the art style of Psychonauts 2. They are going for a claymation look.
Is this episode just catching Matt up on E3 episode? We're just literally.
I'm sorry, am I leading? All right, someone else pick one. I'm just like fascinated. Like some of these old games are popping up, right? Like,
yeah, I think that's a good way for me and George to be like, well, I enjoyed this one, and then you can watch the trailer.
Yeah.
No, Matt, go through the Psychonauts 2 trailer. I love it. It shows a lot of really creative level designs of him like bouncing around a pinball pachinko room in one of the levels, and Psychonauts is remembered for having like a quirky Milkman conspiracy level next to a quirky Waterloo board game level. And the aesthetic, though, is what I really, really appreciate. Like, it looks like a Nightmare Before Christmas, Tim Burton claymation Corpse Bride thing. Like, they really, really nailed it. The transition from here to next gen is totally having some scenes where you like see a smoothness to round objects that was not there before, a certain like gritty, dusty shading to cartoony stuff that wasn't there before. That kind of seems like we're going from smooth, plasticky Fong shading to a little bit more textured claymation sort of shading on these cartoony games like this in next gen.
It looks like Psychonauts 2, to be honest. Like it looks good. I'm okay with
these
that.
Like sequels to 15-year-old games that aren't Dark Souls.
Hey, I didn't think I'd be sat here defending Elden Ring. I didn't think that was how today was going to go.
No, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's going to be good. I mean, it's a Souls game. Like, when is a Souls game not good?
Exactly.
When like the level design is not like as good as the other ones. Like, to not like a Souls game, you compare to a Souls game. That's like literally what people do.
Exactly. Dark Souls 2 is supposedly the black sheep of the franchise, and I still think that one's fine.
It's good. Exactly. Like, because the first Souls game was better than the second one. So it's like, that one's not so good as in comparison.
Matt, I would like you to click on Shrek to Yomi. This was showed off during the Devolver Sarcastic show.
Shrek?
Type Trek. Not Shrek to Yomi. That would be a very different concept.
It's side-scrolling Ghost of Tsushima.
And really? It's black and white. You don't got to tick the black and white option in the
it's on by
the
default.
Options menu to feel like you're an artsy fartsy screenshot major.
It looks good.
I thought that you would especially get a kick out of this one when it comes to aesthetic art projects for next gen technology getting leveraged to make things look like existing media. And Matt, you love watching human beings end their lives in pointless violent conflicts with their bodies getting torn apart. And this one really, really exaggerates the blood and the gore.
Good. That's what I like to see. Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah.
Milky.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not enough 2D side strollers, so I'm down for that.
So yeah, Liam, what would you like to direct Matt to next?
I'm not really sure what stood out massively for me. Elden Ring was, of course, the highlight, just because we saw Elden Ring. Unfortunately, I did like the look of Metal Slug Tactics, even though SNK have seen better days.
Yes. Well, I also do want to point out, if you buy that game, they have a majority stake owned by the current Saudi king who chopped up a journalist and committed a genocide in Yemen. So
he also owns a lot of stuff in EA and other companies, Ubisoft included.
Fuck Ubisoft.
Sable and Tunic are still looking pretty great. I have the demos for them downloading now. Right now, Xbox ID, as they have loaded demos from the E3 stuff. I liked the look of Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Not because I'm biased, because of course I start in the in the game.
Yeah, there's a conflict
Wait.
of interest here. They
Wait,
used
what?
Liam's likeness because it was cheaper than Chris Pratt's.
Wait, what? That wasn't a photoshopped photo?
It depends which one you looked at. There are two floating around in the internet. One that is photoshopped and one that isn't.
And you can't tell the difference.
It's in the trailer, right? All right, I'm gonna wait for it. Let's see.
Just look at Peter Quill from the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer, and then yeah.
He doesn't look like Chris Pratt. He looks like Liam.
Oh my god. Oh, okay. And then they did Photoshop it a little bit. Okay.
Yeah. I woke up to about 10 messages, all the same sentence. Liam, when did you start starring in the Guardians of the Galaxy video game?
So we should set the record clear, though, and clue people in on whether or not we are, telling the truth or having a laugh.
Yeah, we're having a laugh.
Did they actually reach out to you to have you star as the face model for this character?
Unfortunately, that is not the truth. They did not. However,
That's a conspiracy.
if America's taught me anything, I have a good case to sue because it's kind of uncanny. He's like an interdimensional, better looking version of me, for sure. His hair is exactly my hair from like the old photo we used to have.
Yeah.
Of us
Yeah.
for the podcast, like the one of me in the
Right.
arcade. It's like exactly the same hair. It's not quite the same now, kind of actually is today, but it's kind of funny. Like I was like, oh no, and then I watched the trailer and I was like, oh, okay, maybe, maybe just a little bit.
So I like the tone.
I liked it. I did like it.
I like that it was all set to a fun 80s song. The gameplay kind of looks like a generic beat 'em up, though, but at least the tone looks fun and funny and energetic and lively.
It definitely captures the same sort of spirit of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, even if it's not the same characters, but not the same actors who are playing them. And also, I find it interesting that they're going to allow you to only play as Peter Quill, but you're allowed to literally tell the other characters what attacks to do. I don't see why you couldn't just change, but that's fair. Maybe because it's all about this choice-based narrative that you are the team leader and you're making choices based on being Peter Quill. There seem to be a lot of telltales. Rocket Raccoon will remember that kind of style when you anger him. Rocket Raccoon kind of
There we go.
when he got angry at being thrown across by Drax. So I don't know. And the gameplay looks fun, jetpacks, you fly around, shoot things with elemental blasters. The frame rate drops about 5 times during the trailer, so you can tell it's actually gameplay, which is nice. Like it's not bullshit. Like it drops, so it's gameplay. So that's promising. Yeah, no, I thought that was my surprise because I didn't care for Marvel's Avengers at all. But this seems fun. It's story as well, not live game nonsense as usual. What do you think of the trailer so far, Matt?
It looks pretty sleek.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
I'm not hearing it, yeah. But
You can imagine them just quipping
face models
each other.
have come a long way, man. Facial expressions and everything. You remember back in the day?
Yeah,
We're talking about 10 years ago. Jesus. Now, like, the eyes look real.
Dark Souls, no facial expressions. Yeah.
Like, wow. Like, it looks really, really nice. Wow. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the gameplay doesn't look very interesting, but I mean, it might be pretty cool.
I think like if you get to actually make choices that matter and it takes you on divergent paths that do different things and maybe you go to different planets depending on the choices you make, I doubt it'll be that in depth. But if you could, that would be pretty great.
It's in the camp of like, if it's good, I'll play it. Like
Yeah.
But like Plague Tale is probably one of those things where like I'm gonna play that game because I really enjoyed the first one, right? And even if it's a CG trailer, like I just want to play the game because the first one was pretty decent, right?
If it comes out and it gets a 7.5 to an 8,
I'm
give
probably
it a go.
not gonna play. I'll probably do a little Game Pass on it. Probably if it's free on Game Pass, like Psychonauts, I'll probably.
That was another one. Game Pass was a true winner of this E3. Oh damn!
It's a better look than the Telltale Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Yeah.
but it's not better looking than what I assume is in-engine game footage of our first look at Starfield.
Is that in engine? You can't really tell from the cinematic stuff they're doing.
It says in engine.
Okay, sure.
It's their new
we'll
creation engine too, and that's the best damn looking sandwich I've ever seen. That's a
Starfield. Oh, there it is.
I liked the Eurogamer interview better. You couldn't really tell what sort of game they're going for with this trailer here.
That is totally on purpose. Like, it seems like they don't maybe know yet what direction it's going to take.
Well, there's this great sum up of the interview where they say Han Solo simulator meets NASA. So like,
oh, that's
what?
That sounds really interesting. Like a hard sci-fi rather than soft sci-fi space fantasy version of the libertarian American frontier fantasy of being a snarky roughneck smuggler exploring an actual new frontier of space while it's still exciting and new and not and unknown to humanity. There's 2 games on this list that I think are really going to tap into the UFO hype these days, and it's
not a fucking
Starfield's one of them.
We can't go another podcast without an alien reference.
Nope.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting because the Outer Worlds 2 was also shown.
Really?
Yeah, and Matt, I'm sorry, because this is a trailer where you have to hear the narration. It's really, really weird what they did with this Outer Worlds 2 thing.
I commend them for trying what they do with it, but it falls a little flat.
Is it better than the Starfield sandwich?
No.
Because the Starfield sandwich is pretty good.
It is pretty sandwich.
Yeah, it looks like
Do you remember the humor in the Outer Worlds, Matt?
Nope. Forgettable.
So I remember some characters saying some sarcastic things about the bad deals they were signing up to for the space corporations. Other than that, I do remember it being very dry. But the trailer for Outer Worlds 2 is completely off-the-wall bonkers meta, in which a narrator is sarcastically ripping into what looks like an otherwise serious normal video game trailer. And at the end, he says, and then the camera pans out behind the main character who you can't see very well, because the developers have probably not finished the design yet. In fact, the only thing they have to show is the title. And then the title shows up.
Really?
And I do not remember the humor from the first game being that meta about it.
No.
Like, it was a little more toned down. It's a different flavor, and I don't know if it works that well. The best thing we can hope for with the Outer Worlds 2 is them getting a boost in production values, though, because that game did feel way too cheap for what they were trying to envision. A follow-up to New Vegas.
I'm hearing a little bit of it. I mean, these types of jokes, young people like this type of stuff. It's not for us old farts here, even though we're probably not that old, but like, it's not for us old farts.
But the thing is that it does feel like it's sarcastically making fun of stuff that's been done a zillion times before, which takes a few years to settle in. Is it? I feel like I should have enjoyed it as someone who makes fun of cinematic logo teaser nothing trailers. I just don't know if this is like the right brand for that sort of flavor of humor. Even though the Outer Worlds was like pretty comedically inclined.
Mm.
It was still pretty serious in places.
Right, yeah.
I feel like they tried to make something that would stand out at E3 among everything else.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's just so many games anyway that I'm not really sure how you stand out in this anyway.
I know what it is. This style of trailer for the Outer Worlds 2, that should have happened for a sarcastic, silly Devolver game is the difference. It's showing up for a kind of sort of serious IP, and the Xbox show was not.
But even if they did it and said the same lines, I would be still like, yeah, okay, guys, we get it.
That's kind of where they've gone after this point, isn't it? 3 years in, the joke's not going to be as fun the first time as it was.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed a lot of the games that were shown during the Devolver show. Specifically, Despelote, which is like my number 2 most hyped game after Stalker 2, I think. I adore this trailer about Despelote. Yeah, Matt, click on that and let's hear what you think about the art style. Unfortunately, it is another one where you probably have to hear the characters talking to see the appeal. But This is a game where you play a small child in a small South American country who is excited about your football team qualifying for the World Cup. And the trailer shows you kicking a ball around a park, and depending on who the ball hits and how and when, the NPCs in the town will generate a procedural conversation around it. There is a lot of interactivity shown. There are two different states of ball. One of them is deflated, and that apparently changes what people say. A lot of interactivity and variety that is coming from a complete non-combat mechanic. This is also like very cutely, adorably capturing someone else's nostalgia in a way that I don't think another medium can do. This is, when you're watching the Olympics, they'll use these scene transition cuts where you'll see like a crowd of kids chasing after a ball and inspiring music will play in the background. And it's a little cheesy and inauthentic, but this feels like there's pausing that freeze frame of that crowd of children, swooping the camera behind into their faces so you can experience someone else's rose-colored nostalgia for what that excitement feels like in a way that the transitionary shots of watching the Olympics in a coddled, comfy, privileged first world country isn't going to capture. I love this. I adore this.
Looks really cool, actually.
This seriously feels like the dream of video game interactive art coming true in terms of doing things that aren't violent, killing the same bad guy hundreds of times over and over again for teenagers.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating that we can't go through all of them, but I was actually incredibly happy to see there was so many indie games announced, and it was great because there was, of course, all the main showcases, but then outside of that, we had wholesome games, and we had the indie games showcase, and we had the Guerrilla Collective. There's so many indie games, and all of them, the majority of them, were non-violent and had unique things about them.
Yeah.
And it is way fucking cooler.
And that's why I think some contention might come up here, because Liam has said that this year's E3 was kind of boring. And when I went on /r games on Reddit today, one of the top posts was like, this year's E3 seems kind of boring. But I don't feel that at all, specifically because of those showcases like that we're doing the wholesome games. Like, there's a lot of stuff here that feels like it's almost pandering to me. Like, this is kind of sort of a vision I had when I made that Starkey E3 2015 video that everyone hated. This is like, if I'm going to be spending the weekend watching video game commercials, at least we got a lot of video game commercials that weren't sequels, that had cute, adorable artwork, that had non-violent game mechanics, that were, from smaller teams who are making games with worse graphics that are taking a longer time to do it.
But in all honesty, they weren't part of E3, though, were they? They have to still do their own thing to be noticed. And what I'm saying is E3 and the major companies and everything, like, everyone was disappointed with Square Enix. Everyone was disappointed with Capcom. Everyone was disappointed with Ubisoft. The highlights came from even Geoff Keighley's thing, right? Which had Elden Ring. The majority of people enjoyed that, minus all the sponsor stuff that kept getting in the way. But the majority of what people are excited about came from these indie showcases outside of it. So the actual status quo of E3, I do agree, was kind of boring, to be honest. There wasn't major highlights. We're recording this pre-Nintendo, which is going to happen in an hour from now. So who knows in that regard. But in terms of the traditional E3, I feel like it was kind of boring. Even I think Xbox did really well. They showed Halo as expected, and Starfield was teased, but there wasn't anything about Starfield other than that teaser, so it's hard to get excited about that. But then everything else was about Game Pass, which is great. For as great as Game Pass is, no one's going to get excited about it at E3. People want to see stuff, see new things. I agree. It's kind of like pointing out one of those uncomfortable problems of semantics, like whether or not they're really indie games. It's like, is this really E3 if it's part of the same weekend bonanza? And I'm actually all for it. But it is like Wholesome Games shows you that people have to come together to do it because they won't be asked otherwise, right? So it still requires, people to get together to do it. Because E3 and these bigger companies are never going to ask you to be involved. So it does feel like, yes, they are using the opportune moment to be involved, and then they do get accepted and become involved. But it's still required, secondary parties of people to get together and then organize these things. Whereas, the guys who can just turn up and be like, we're making an event like Ubisoft or whatever, or like even Capcom, who just shows the same stuff that is already out and whatnot. They just get to do it because they're big companies. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still happy that we had E3 because, of course, last year we didn't. I'm still happy for that, but I do think it wasn't the greatest showings in terms of excitement. Elden Ring.
I was a lot happier this weekend than I was during most E3s for the past year, and I do think it's because the media was latching onto this concept more so than the big publisher companies. I am all for E3 switching from organized by the ESA, funded by the big publishers, to being organized by GameSpot or IGN, or whatever the hell Wholesome Games is supposed to be. Like, they just call it a collective. Like, yeah, put these events in their hands instead, please.
That's what's so great about this week, I think, is one, it was E3, because E3 actually had an official live stream, but the other companies were doing their own thing at their own time, and it was all digital events. So it's like E3 in name, but maybe not E3 ESA anymore. And it's just a week where loads of companies use the opportune moment that everyone else will be doing stuff to do stuff. And then it is exciting.
It was E3 in spirit, maybe not necessarily in name and funding, but
yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I do not disagree with you at all. It just feels like E3 to me because it's all the same weekend.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else is on here that Matt might get a kick out of as we catch him up?
You sent me the perfect trailer, which was Salt and Fries. I enjoyed that game. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I played it like 2 or 3 times back in the day because I just enjoyed how, I don't know, like the physics in that game. It wasn't the best, but it was so fun, especially playing with another friend.
Mm-hmm. A game where a co-op run plays completely different than your solo run.
Oh, completely. And I can't wait for this one.
I am more excited for this than I am Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I am. Same. This is coming in 2022.
Blown away.
I don't know. I like these types of games, like small little side scroller co-op games. Like that seems fun to me. Elden Ring, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be good. Don't worry, Liam.
It's weird because I thought about it, and I actually kind of commend the people who made Salt and Sanctuary, like Scar Studios. Terrible name for a video game company, but cool.
Yeah.
That game was like one of the OG indie games alongside like Super Meat Boy and everything. Like, and it came out as a Dark Souls. It was like the first Soulsborne like spin-off of Souls. Like that game, mad respect, but it's ugly as shit.
It's ugly. It's ugly. It is still ugly.
I like the backgrounds. I know what everyone's talking about. I think they're talking about the character animation, right? The rigging.
It's so ugly.
Yeah.
It looks kind of like an old Flash game, but I can tolerate that. Maybe because I grew up with that, but I've always been of the opinion that the backgrounds in these games look pretty all right, if not good.
The first one was ugly. This one looked ugly. I'm fine. It might be great.
No, Liam was right. It does look ugly, but I like I still like it for some reason. Fine. It just it's like someone couldn't do the animation, so they like added bones to a character and animated it that way and made it work. And I don't know, there's something about that makes me like, hey, I commend that. I want to play that. I want to play that game.
And also their shameless Dark Souls aping is now extending into the territory of Sekiro, where they give you a grapple hook.
Yeah.
And that's unlike cool. Sekiro, it looks like you can grapple on things that don't need a giant glowy interactive spot. But yeah, I guess we'll see when the game's in our hands.
Yeah.
Halo Infinite's multiplayer had grapple hooks now.
Yeah, and Halo Infinite also got way better reception this time than it did during the first reveal. They've got bots.
The multiplayer trailer was great. The multiplayer trailer was great.
And free to play. And that's like a sign that they might want this game to last many, many years instead of churn it out before the next one.
Facial animations look better.
I still don't know if it's going to be a graphical showcase, but like all the features in the gameplay that they showed seemed fine, if not good, because I'm all for bots. And the free-to-play mode is going to mean that the servers are going to stay populated for a good long while, too.
I wonder why they never get like pros to do the trailers for this, like to play the characters. You ever realize in some of these gameplay trailers, the developers like don't know how to play their game?
That's on purpose.
It's on purpose?
It's like a golden rule. You cannot be too good in your own trailer. That makes the game look easy.
Okay.
You purposely have to make it look like a player is playing a game. Therefore, failure, a little bit of missing stuff. You can't be too good. But you also, and this is the hard balance, you also can't look shit. Like, that's because then the game looks shit, right?
Yeah. Hey, so it's just like those phone apps on trailer on not Tinder, Twitter. You know those phone commercials that they have on Twitter? No, just me. Where they have the puzzle games and all that type of stuff.
Slide the lava out of the way to burn your wife to death.
Yeah, the Gardenscape ones.
Always fail in the most stupidest way possible.
And it frustrates you the hell, and then you play it, and you feel like such a sucker. Well, they won. They did it.
I think I saw some of that going on with the Battlefield 2042 trailers. There's a gameplay trailer where it looks like they have God mode turned on and have all the other players in the server making a point to not shoot the guy who's playing, who's got our camera angle on at any given time.
Oh, that trailer.
So what do you think of Battlefield 2042, guys? It has a grapple hook too. Everyone has a grapple hook now.
Sometimes I think video games are not made for me anymore.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. For multiple reasons.
It's just like, why are you guys copying each other? Like, I get it. Like, that's kind of how innovation happens. But like, it's like sometimes it's just too much. Just like, come up with your own stuff sometimes, man. Be original sometimes.
Gameplay wise, I think it looks fine, but it also kind of looks like Battlefield 4. That has been done before.
It looks miserable. It's a future we are all heading towards, and it looks fucking miserable.
So but there's also like a loop zoop moment in the trailer.
It's a global climate crisis future that is just ruined the earth. Barely any of the population still alive. It's fucking misery.
And yet the trailer shows someone flying a jet high up in the sky, jumping out of the jet to shoot another jet with a rocket launcher, then landing back in the jet, which was a joke video for Battlefield 1942 that they've now officiated into the real trailer for Battlefield 2042.
If this is the future we are heading towards, I truly want to be the guy who parachutes off with the other guy. Well, they both don't parachute, they have wingsuits, who both jump off. And then he gives the other guy like a thumbs up and then gets immediately crushed by a plane. I want to be the guy who gets crushed by the plane because I feel like I don't want to live in that future.
I think there's tonal whiplash going on because the aesthetics are gray and grimy, and the lore involves a climate crisis from climate change, but the moves and the stunts are goofy and silly and fun. Yeah. And so there's tonal whiplash. So, okay, let's talk about the lore behind Battlefield 2042.
Oh, God.
Have you guys looked into this stuff?
No.
A little bit. Actually, a little bit, but not extensively.
In the near climate catastrophe future, a mysterious asteroid passes by Earth and knocks out all the satellites. There's a worldwide blackout. All the superpowers are blaming each other. And before you know it, a World War III gets sparked off by climate refugee expats who sign up to be military soldiers fighting for the superpowers in exchange for citizenship of whatever safe territory is left to still live in the world. The premise is that you are playing like middle-class service employees who go from a lifetime of doing like I don't know, software development and IT to spend a year serving in the armed forces in 2042 in exchange to migrate from Germany to Michigan or something. It is stupid and also tone deaf and has some tonal whiplash going on. But I do kind of want an FPS video game where I can sit back and relax and still get kills. And that is Battlefield, and that is not some of the games I've been playing recently, like that do the whole quick time to kill stealth incorporated thing. Halo has a higher learning curve than Battlefield games usually. I do feel a craving for a big battle game where I can be half asleep and still perform well and not have to dedicate half a year of my life to climbing a learning curve to get some cheap thrills. So I think I might be interested in BF 2042 when some Game of the Year edition launches with all the DLCs, if it is going to be following the BF3, BF4 model, which it looks so similar to in terms of those gritty aesthetics, having a tonal whiplash against silly stunts.
Yeah. I haven't bought a Battlefield game in a very long time. It's just, I just never...
Me neither.
You know, just, I don't know. And I used to love Battlefield, like from Bad Company. I think I played 4, and then I think 4 was my last one.
So I want to get back into a Battlefield game, and I don't see anything here that like really, straight up offends me so much as it looks like a stupid case of video game tonal, we're apolitical whiplash sort of vibes.
Yeah, I don't know. That looks alright, I guess.
There's a smaller game that got shown off that I really, really like the look of called Gloomwood. It is a low poly thief-like that has pixelated textures and blocky models, but really, really good sound effects and really, really good lighting. And what I think is amazing is how atmospheric and immersive just watching the trailer felt, despite the low poly pixelated aesthetics going on. There are not many thief style games out there that developers have taken this kind of stab at. There's not many like deliberately low poly pixelated games that still look good and immersive since like Valheim. I think more developers are going to be trying to pull off the magic Valheim did in terms of getting a budgeted graphics budget to look and feel like a higher tech experience than it really is. I like it. This is another case where I felt a little pandered to in terms of having a smaller game get a big spotlight.
Yeah, it looks interesting. I don't know if it's for me. I think it's definitely a George game.
Mm-hmm.
Like the stealth
stuff. Boys. Yeah, stealth.
Like where you're just finding random things, and I don't know if I have the patience.
You can hide bodies.
Wow,
that's always the like
holy shit
definitive feature. Yeah, like an interactive physics system, some physics puzzling going on.
Oh, that's pretty cool, actually.
It's hard to get the vibe of a lot of this stuff without hearing the audio at the same time, because the audio design was, I thought, fairly impressive in the Gloomwood trailer.
Oh wow, yeah, it sounds a little bit like Legends of Grimoire. It's like this RPG where it's a tile based and you walk on each tile. You probably guys have never heard of it. It's it's an indie game. Like
no, I've never heard of it.
Yeah. I like that. I like that very open sound with little creaks. And every time you touch something, it echoes. I like that.
Yes. It makes you know how big the room is just from your ears rather than your eyes.
Legends of Grimrock. That's what it's called.
Oh yeah, the dungeon crawling one.
Dungeon crawling one.
Yeah. I remember that one.
I watched an old friend, Winning Potatoes, play it twice. That shit was so fucking good. Yeah,
I remember that being one of those games that was on Steam at the time that everyone was like, "You have to have this in your Steam library."
Yeah, it's a fun one, for sure.
So, is there anything else that caught your eye, Liam? Because we still got a lot of candidates.
Honestly, not particularly. No.
It's all about Nintendo, huh?
Well,
still waiting on Nintendo.
Yeah, we're still in exactly 56 minutes.
The only Nintendo game that's been revealed so far was revealed during the Ubisoft conference, and it was a Mario Rabbids sequel.
That doesn't surprise me. It was a massive success first time round, critically as well. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Once again, it got leaked beforehand. Ubisoft games can never not be leaked. They always have to be leaked beforehand. There was a game called Planet of Lana that looked really, really pretty. The trailer for that was during the summer festival. George, what about the Death Stranding director's cut, which doesn't make any sense because he is the director. Like, what the fuck?
Okay.
And also, the trailer didn't make any sense. Like, is it meant to have?
No, it made sense.
Well, how?
Okay.
I gotta see this. Wait, what?
How was it hard to read? It's him putting the Metal Gear box away.
No, let me stop you right there. I get it. It of course is a reference to the fact that Hideo Kojima made Metal Gear. How in any way does it advertise a new version of Death Stranding unless it has elements of like stealth in it now that would make the game different? It's a fairly intriguing trailer. Norman Reedus playing with a cardboard box. It's fine. But also the idea of a director's cut from Hideo Kojima is like irony upon irony.
Yeah, I thought it was cheeky. I thought it was a joke. I did not interpret it as a serious trailer meant to make sense to sell a product because everyone kind of knows what they're going to get anyway. I took it as Kojima using it as an opportunity to tell a joke about how he wants to put Metal Gear away and back on the shelf.
I'm just talking about the fact that he's making a director's cut of a game he very clearly has every creative control over already. And also, he's the only cheeky sod as well who will charge people for a new version on next-gen consoles when almost every other company is allowing you to upgrade from the PS4 version or the Xbox One version to your new console for free, including most recently Final Fantasy VII. But no, with Kojima, you're going to have to fucking pay for the brand new PS5 version if you want that hot-ass Norman Reedus in 4K, 60 frames high ray tracing off his shower bum.
Yeah, I'm basically interpreting this as a port from the PC version with extra features for people who have not already played it.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm imagining it to be.
Yeah, but the area he's in is also new. You know, Death Stranding did not have this tight, close quarters stealth sort of situation.
So maybe he will have Metal Gear segments. Maybe Death Stranding just becomes Metal Gear.
Which would be tragic, because that's not the joke being made in the trailer. I am interpreting it as a complete joke trailer, is how I read this.
I'm watching it. I don't know, man. Putting it back on the shelf seems about right, but it is Kojima. And I don't think things are straightforward with that guy. That guy likes to...
Yeah, they're not straightforward, but they're also not subtle. The box literally says "handled with love" on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is saying that Metal Gear Solid has been handled with love, but it's time to put it back on the shelf and focus on new things. Sam decides not to sneak through the heavily armored guards in their blue metallic base with Metal Gear Solid music playing in the background.
Then what is he gonna do? Shoot?
Do you know what it reminds me of? A little bit. I don't know about you guys, but it reminds me of like what someone would make with sauce.
Yeah.
Like it reminds me of like an old, like even the goofy like grins that Norman Reedus makes is like, I can imagine the Heavy making those grins in someone's like fan sauce trailer. That's exactly what it reminds me of.
Can't wait for Kojima to collaborate with Studio FAO on the cinematics and Death Stranding director's cut. He teased at some new game that's probably not going to come out for another half decade. But yeah, until then, if you've never played Death Stranding before, this is a version you can pay full money for if you don't want to play it on the PC instead.
The cheek of it.
I have complicated feelings about Rainbow Six Extraction. There are 2 Left 4 Dead games coming out. That are like almost looking like they're directly competing with each other for different flavors of the same concept. Rainbow Six Extraction and Back 4 Blood got shown off a lot during this year. Rainbow Six Extraction changed its name from Quarantine because 2020 happened, and it looks weird. I don't know if they really thought this thing all the way through. You see a lot of shots and gameplay demos of the person driving a little drone into a zombie-infested room and being like, yep, we got zombies in there. And I don't know what sort of tactical advantage they really gain from that in a game that is typically known for tactics. Zombies are enemies that you don't really have to do fancy tactics to be able to shoot. It looks like a slow-paced, more chill version of a Left 4 Dead, where you still have a lot of overwhelming tools at your disposal for shooting zombies through walls, which completely turn them into non-threats. I don't know if I like the look of this. Also, the whole concept of having zombies and fantasy and sci-fi elements and Tom Clancy games keeps getting ramped up and up as the years go on, to the point where the brand doesn't really mean much anymore.
I am absolutely not the target audience for either of these games.
Do they call it Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction, or is it just plain Rainbow Six Extraction at this point?
I think it's just Rainbow Six Extraction.
Okay, so maybe Tom Clancy is spinning a little slower in his grave this year than last few times.
He's like, zombies? I would have never had zombies.
The Wikipedia article calls it Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction. The Ubisoft website just calls it Rainbow Six Extraction. I think it would be safer to go with the Ubisoft... Wait, no. Okay, the text on the Ubisoft website says Rainbow Six Extraction, but the JPEG of the logo has Tom Clancy's in it. It's fucking nuts. And then there's Back 4 Blood, which looks like... I kind of wish they were a little more ambitious and wacky with the concept of making a Left 4 Dead 3, but not having the blessing from Valve themselves to do it. Back 4 Blood looks like Left 4 Dead 3, all right. And my dynamic with the Left 4 Dead games has always been, they're fun to go through once or twice, and then you know what's around the next corner when you go through it again. The unlimited replay value of a good multiplayer game is something that I don't really think they managed to tap into. They wanted to show off some competitive PvP multiplayer modes, and I don't remember getting super duper sucked into the PvP of the Left 4 Dead games in any case. Yeah, I mean, so far, if you want to play a level pack for Left 4 Dead 2, it kind of looks like Back 4 Blood is that. If it was Left 4 Dead 3, I think I would be more ready to picture special infected that don't fill the same roles as the previous two games. Definitely a little bit more of a jump in graphical quality. This is one of those next gen games where the textures still kind of look a little shitty and blurry when you zoom into stuff real close. Yeah, I don't have complicated feelings about Back 4 Blood. I don't know if I'm anticipating as much as I should, considering I should be the demographic here, whereas Rainbow Six Extraction just looks like a confusing mess.
I don't really have an interest in Left 4 Dead anyway, so I don't think either of these are going to be my cup of tea.
My cup of tea.
My cup of tea. I don't think it's going to be anything to do with my cup of tea.
I saw a trailer reveal for a game called the Fermi Paradox, which is a strategy game where you manage how first contact goes between various alien races. That's going to be fun to play if the UFO hype is still big when that releases. I'm looking forward to that a lot more than the more expensive AAA games on the list by far, which describes a lot of good dynamics of this year. I was having a blast with a lot of the stuff shown during the Wholesome Direct and IGN Summer of Games. Liam, is there one you want to talk about here?
What was that Bioshock looking one? Was it Atomic Heart? Looks like a rough Bioshock.
There is a game called Atomic Heart. I don't know if I would say it looks like Bioshock.
Have you seen the trailer? Watch the trailer and then tell me it doesn't look like Bioshock. It looks like Bioshock.
You're on land with like a blue sky on top of the screen,
but you're also on land.
In Bioshock, you're underwater.
Look at the way his hands move and the way he uses his powers and his left hand shoots. It's like straight up like Russian Bioshock. That's what it looks like. Like a slightly janky Russian Bioshock.
I don't know if I'm really feeling anything watching through this. It looks like cinematic first-person violence adventure.
I think when I see stuff like that, I'm just always impressed by whatever size of the team is, because it looks like a AAA game. Like, for example, I kind of picture it like name versus trailer. Imagine if that trailer you just saw, imagine if it was like Arcane, and you were like, whoa, look at Arcane's new game, right? It's so weird to look at trailers like that and be like, wow, if that was like attached to another studio, people would be like, wow, this is the new hot shit, right? but because it's some unknown studio, but it truly does like a full AAA production of a video game. It's pretty weird because it's not even on the list. You haven't even heard of it. So
no, it totally passed me by.
I think we're in a weird space where it's scary. There are just so many games. There are so many video games.
The volume this year was overwhelming, which is also why I feel like there's a little bit of contention over it. Like
It's
you're saying it's
terrifying.
boring, but it feels like there should be something for everyone in here.
Quantity does not mean quality, does it?
But like even someone as cynical and tired as I am of first-person AAA violence adventure, there was a lot here that was not that. Like absolutely,
Yeah.
Like the genres seem to be diversifying.
On the same coin of that, there was another problem. For example, if you'd watched the Wholesome Games, did you watch the Wholesome Games one?
So yeah, full disclaimer here. I did not watch the conferences from beginning to end so much as I tuned in and out throughout the weekend
that's
and
fine,
watched it from like lists later on, which I think is the better way to do this anyways.
So the Wholesome Games one, 70 games announced, all under a guise of, being I think non-violent is a better term than wholesome. Wholesome, I think, gives it quite a derogatory term, to be honest, because a lot of them go to be quite extensive in unique ways. But a running trend of that, though, speaking of derogatory, is that if you cut the words fishing, animal characters, farming, and lo-fi music, you would have gone from 70 to like 15 games.
Damn.
Because if you go through that and you truly are being, a little bit cynical, a little bit critical, so many of those games are like knockoffs of each other or inspired by Animal Crossing or have all
Stardew Valley.
or have all taken that wholesome tag and then not really done anything with it other than what they think is supposed to be done with it. So it requires farming, it requires fishing, it requires talking to really wholesome looking anthropomorphic village characters, building a house, crafting, right? And so the flip side of that is, yes, we're seeing a lot of these great things, but also on that path, yes, we see lots and lots of shooters, but also on the indie side, in terms of like wholesome games, there is a lot of very similar stuff too. So when we talk about quantity and quality, I think across the whole week, there was such an overwhelming amount of games, but there was so much that was so similar. We saw multiple vampire games. We just talked about Back 4 Blood and Extraction, 2 games that look very similar. There was a lot of like those kind of quasi Bioshock looking things too, I think. There was another one that was like a spaceship horde shooter, the Archerists or something like that. That was like on a spaceship. And then there was a lot of indie games that were this wholesome looking, a short hike meets Animal Crossing meets Stardew Valley types as well. So it felt like a lot of the games were still similar. So there wasn't anything truly outstanding because you'd seen one trailer and you could have got it confused with many other trailers that looked very similar.
But on that note, like, competition is not a bad thing. And one game that is very derivative, that is directly competing against a staple that I am very looking forward to seeing how they do, is Paralives, a game that is doing The Sims by another name because there is no competition in that space.
Yeah.
Paralives had a trailer where they showed off a lot of building features that you cannot do in The Sims. And what does kind of worry me, though, is that they didn't show the simulated people interacting with all the strangely curved architecture and custom couch sizes that the home builder part of this game is going to be able to pull off. But having a competitor for The Sims is definitely a good thing in terms of just existing at all. Yeah, I was happy to see a game like Paralives have some sort of presence during the weekend bonanza of watching video game commercials all day. There's stuff like Garden Story and Yokai Inn that both look like Stardew Valley with cuter pixel art. I was really, really intrigued by another wholesome game they showed off called Unpacking.
Unpacking is great. Yeah, that wholesome game, but with unique gameplay that's completely different. That was good. Unpacking, really good stuff.
Unpacking looks like a bonkers concept that makes so much sense to turn into a video game. You unpack a moving truck full of boxes. When you move into a new house, you can customize it and decorate it, and then you do some 2D pixel art photography. But there's also some environmental storytelling going on. As you sort through the characters' belongings, they have item descriptions that feels really wholesome and human and relatable. And it's something we've all done that could have been turned into an interesting game this whole time. And for reasons of appealing to markets and having to make sales, it's a concept that no one's really wanted to do until now. Apparently, this didn't come into anyone's head for all these years, but now there is a market for like cute, wholesome, non-violent games for grandpa. And Unpacking is spearheading that. I like it. Unpacking is one of the reasons why I felt like I was having more fun this year than I was in previous years, whether or not you want to call this week E3 or not.
I don't know. I think it's E3 in name to me, really. It wasn't true E3, but it's great. It's a celebration of games, and that's what is important. And I do like that. But I do feel like 70 games in one conference that all kind of look the same and have the same theme is like, oh my god, nothing rings death of an industry to me more than that, because how is anybody supposed to make any money or any business? But that is a different question for a different day.
Meanwhile, Sifu looks pretty good. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong.
Oh shit, I missed it, but I know what you're talking about.
Is that the martial arts one?
Yeah, the from Absolver, the developer from Absolver. That shit looks fucking good, man. That's like the best fighting I've seen in a while. Now that looks like innovation.
Yeah, choreography, animation, blue-orange contrast.
Yeah. I was wondering why you guys didn't say Monster Hunter Stories too, but I saw it and I was like, oh, okay, that's why.
No, it looks good. It's just it's already announced, right? Nobody has any interest for things that have already been announced, right? It's kind of the part of the E3. It feels like cheating if your big thing is a game that was already seen like 12 months ago or something like that, or 6 months ago. No one wants to be like, oh, that's old. We want to hear about the new stuff. It's like if the Nintendo conference today is all about Skyward Sword, and people will be like pitchforks and burning houses down.
For all the action RPG guys out there who has been waiting for Lost Ark, it's coming. It's coming over here, guys. It's coming over here. So we're gonna be able to play it and be disappointed by something.
Gonna be disappointed by the fact that Amazon shuts it down in like 6 months.
Yeah. Hopefully it's good enough for a good weekend of fun with your friends, and that's all that matters. That's all that matters. To get that like scratch out physics within action RPG, like that's nuts, man. It looks good.
I also appreciate that a developer is taking a stab at making a Journey-like game for Book of Travels. Where the game pairs you up with a very, very small amount of other players who walk you through a landscape that they kind of role play as your tutorial buddy for, and it looks gorgeous. This game's art style is absolutely beautiful. The whole trailer has widescreen bars.
Cinematic, the cheap cinematic feel. Nice. What's it called again?
Book of Travels.
Book of Travels.
And I also know that Matt likes
that does look pretty. Damn.
Inside Limbo developer. They are making another one under a different developer name called Somerville. Atmospheric puzzle side scroller with interesting graphics about it looks like this time it's not about a coming-of-age kid story so much as it might be the dad having a midlife crisis with his family story.
It looks like an alien invasion.
Uh-oh.
It looks like Inside again. Interesting. So they're going with this art style.
It looks like the movie The Quiet Place. That's what it looks like to me.
It's interesting that like Limbo was starring a little boy, Inside was starring a teenager, this one's starring a dad. I wonder if the next one will be starring an old man, grandpa, going on his silhouette adventures.
Oh, this is like a darker version of Mitchell's versus the Machines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. With a family and stuff. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I'm definitely gonna play this. same type of gameplay as like, Little Nightmares and stuff like that. I'm down for the games like that, atmospheric. And Book of Travels looks really great.
Yeah, I really
great,
like the look of Book of Travels.
It seems like that's what we're interested in these days. It's just like, it's just, I don't know, something a little bit different than high energy shooting people in the face and. Yeah.
Which is why I liked this year. I did like this year a lot better than most other years. Will we call it E3 5 years from now? Still, I don't know. But if this shows a direction the industry is going, I have a little more hope than I think I usually do.
There was still a lot of shooters and AAA stuff like that dominated most of it. But I do get your point.
Yeah, like out of the hour and 15 minutes we've talked, not a lot of AAA shooters have been in that space.
The best game announced was, of course, the best named video game, which is
oh boy,
Wizard with a Gun.
Oh, I thought you were going to do something different.
No, but Wizard with a Gun. Great trailer, great name, does exactly what it says on the tin. Wizards with guns. I like it. What do you think I was going to say?
Wizard with a gun.
I thought you were going to talk about, it's in all caps, so I got to yell, Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin!
Oh, I thought we'd done that, but I'm happy to revisit it because I have watched that trailer 5 times out of pure enjoyment and morbid curiosity about how bad the dialogue is in the trailer.
I watched it twice, and I do want to expound on why I had such a visceral reaction to it. People in our Discord chat room were like seeing me just have a mental breakdown over this. I do not know how the story of Final Fantasy 1 goes and whatever kind of time loop edgy spin they're going to put on it, but I am so sad that like this is what us Americans look like on the world stage, that when they try to make a Final Fantasy that appeals to Americans, they pick an angry white guy with a buzz cut who's telling the creatures he's killing to feel the pain as they're dying. Like the way this game treats, the AAA violence adventure, there are very few characters, I think, who take as much sadistic pleasure in killing things as this guy seems to do. I don't know what sort of redemptive arc he'll have in the game. I guess I'll just have to wait and see. But based on the 2 minutes and 30 seconds of this trailer, he legitimately looked like one of the most unlikable protagonists I've seen in a trailer since, like, and I kid you not, like Hatred. Like he looked like he was really, really enjoying tearing these creatures' jaws in half. Red crystals pop out instead of blood, so they might be able to get away with a T rating.
He has a very good reason to do so.
The chaos.
He must destroy chaos.
The chaos is waiting for us.
Wait, no welcome party? I guess we'll just show ourselves in.
It looks like bad Devil May Cry without as much fun, with an incredibly stupid interpretation of what Westerners think is cool about Devil May Cry. The sound effects in that trailer is missing. There's like shots where you see characters punching each other and hitting the ground, and there's no whooshy noises or punchy noises, and I really, really did not like. I had a horrible reaction when I first saw it. Like, it felt like an ugly reminder of places we have moved past to in terms of what video games are for nowadays.
I'm so interested to know how, like, whoever did the dialogue or the developer, maybe it's the writer, how they feel about like people making fun of it. And like,
it is classic PlayStation 2 B era Japanese. That it reminds me of the great era of bad Japanese B games that just sucked in dialogue but had so much energy and spirit that they're dumb as fuck. And it reminds me a bit of like Metal Wolf Chaos and games like that. That's what it reminds me of. It's so bad, but so good at the same time. And since the demo got fixed, there is a demo out on PlayStation 5 for anybody who wants to play it. But one, it came out and it was broken, which I think is a great sign considering the trailer. But it did get fixed and people have been playing it and they said it's actually quite good. It's Team Ninja, right? So the dudes who made Ninja Gaiden, the combat's going to be great. Whether it's hard or not, I don't know. But if it's great combat, it's got Garland in it. Garland actually looks pretty cool, gotta be honest. But It is hilarious. The main characters are so bad, but there's something quite
I just
diabolical about playing it and giggling to yourself that people think this is serious.
it just looks like the life has been sucked out of the world, though. Like it's just like so
Yeah,
green
you
and
said,
bland.
like spirit. I don't know if I'm from the video.
No energy. There's no spirit. I mean, if
Contrast on this thing is
just look at any
fucking
Team
absurd.
Ninja game, and you'll see that the engine they're using is that garbage engine they use for Team Ninja. Like it looks like Devil's Third. Like that's how weird it looks. Right? That's how bad it looks. But Garland looks cool. I don't know how much Final Fantasy is actually going to be a part of this. I don't know. I'm going to watch that trailer for years to come and look back and be like, simpler times. When we're living in that climate 2042 future that Battlefield has predicted. When I need to remind myself of the good times, yeah.
When Japan is underwater and the only way to move back to the UK is fighting in a war.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that trailer on my space phone and I'm going to be like, man, I wish it was 2021 again.
The chaos.
Chaos control.
Chaos.
I have to destroy chaos.
Yeah.
I am become chaos.
I felt patronized and insulted when I watched that. I had a gamer reaction.
That
to
is
trailer.
what Japanese people think Americans are like.
Fuck off. Let's do listener questions.
Yeah,
they
'cause I wanna
really?
watch-
Do they really, like, people you talk to over there, they think that we talk and act like this, or that's what we fantasize about?
Yeah, of course.
Really?
I'm not even
You
kidding.
mean we don't fantasize about having free healthcare and trains that go everywhere?
No, they think you're
'Cause that's
all
what I
loud
fantasize
action
about.
heroes.
Yeah, I fantasize about that too.
There is a black guy though in it. So
Final
at least-
Fantasies have had black guys for the past couple generations. I mean,
There's always one.
we want to get out of here so we can watch the trailer for Mario vs. Rabbids 2 again. Listener
You
questions we pull from dadandsonspodcast at gmail.com and our Patreon listener questions channel. First one for this week is Wingy, who asks, if you had $15,000 to buy a useless thing, what will it be? And there has to be a very important disclaimer here to make it fun. It needs to be useless.
Like, I couldn't get a gold-plated with diamond-encrusted spoon for my cereal, right? I couldn't get, like, an alligator skin umbrella or some shit like that, right?
It needs to be useless.
It needs to be useless. Not even, like, a gold-plated vacuum cleaner, you know?
It's a very difficult question for us who don't know what spending $15,000 on useless things would even be like. I have a hard time visualizing that, you know?
So it would have to be like a rock, like some type of art piece, like a rock.
Actually, yeah, maybe like a collectible fossil, a rare artifact or something the museum has already exhausted its value from.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
an NFT.
It's significantly easier to sell one of those back, though.
Yeah, one of the things that blurs the lines of this question is if resale value counts as a use. I was thinking
True,
if I had
yeah.
$15,000, I would renovate my apartment to make it prettier just so I would feel good in here. But that also would increase the property value. It wouldn't have use value, but it would have resale value. And it also
Yeah.
would have the feng shui use value of increasing my mental health from living in a happier looking place. So it's really, really hard to answer something like this, to be honest.
I'd buy the most expensive scalpered PS5 off of Amazon. And just pay $15,000.
Okay, no, I think I
Oh,
know
fuck
what mine
those
would be.
guys.
If it's just pure sentimental memorabilia, I think it might be like if I could get a hold of the original draft of a Metal Gear Solid game, like a script, something sort of like that.
Ooh, that would be nice.
I know a guy who has one.
Pop culture memorabilia of a
Ooh.
franchise you love, I think, is something I would be willing to
I've seen
spend
it.
a lot of money on for an item that will depreciate in value instead of appreciate in value. What did you see?
I saw Jeremy Blaustein's original script for MGS1.
And what's the usage rights on that? Is he allowed to sell it and auction it?
I don't know. It's his, I guess so. Maybe.
Yeah, I wonder if that would actually climb up to the $15,000 range, because I think that's, if I did have $15,000 to burn with no consequence, I think I would really enjoy flipping through something like that just for my own sake, not for any serious use value. I'm going to go with that, like original Metal Gear Solid script or something, some kind of memorabilia under that.
Yeah,
umbrella.
I'd probably buy something dumb like that, like an original Super Mario Bros. Kart.
Oh,
most recently, a chicken nugget shaped like a character from Among Us that sold for $100,000 on eBay.
Well, you might want to eat it, in which case you will have used it.
No, I don't think I'd want to eat it.
How would you preserve it? Would you put it in an epoxy block like the hot dog?
No, it's a McDonald's chicken nugget, so it preserves itself. It's so full of additives that it preserves itself.
That's the
Gross.
American dream that Square Enix really needs to be tapping into. Not the violent, angry white boy action hero, but the mummy preserved just from the amount of fast food it eats.
I'd buy 1,000 copies. No, 15,000 copies of The Mummy on DVD.
Really? That's your answer.
I mean,
Of all the other $15,000 useless things you can imagine.
can you name me a better one?
I tried seriously and ended up settling on the Metal Gear Solid scripts.
A Pokemon card.
The Pokemon card one's good, but I think 15,000 will get you fucking nothing these days. For
Nothing,
A Pokemon
man.
card.
Yeah.
Really?
Can't even get that
Is
first
this-
edition Charizard anymore. It's all
Is this how impoverished I am? Like, would a Metal Gear Solid script go for more than that on an auction
think
from
so.
fans?
I think
Jesus
it should.
Christ.
I don't think it would go for more than a fucking mint condition Charizard, that's for sure.
So a mint condition Charizard is 15,000 or more?
No, that's more for sure.
Oh, my
I'd spend
God.
$15,000 on returning back to the UK where I'd have to quarantine and then I'd run out of vacation time. So then, therefore, after my quarantine time ends, I'd have to return back immediately to be back in time to work.
But in order to finish the citizenship form, you have to serve a year in the climate wars.
Where are you coming from, sir? Japan. Goddamn, man, that's a long journey.
I lost so many friends in that war.
My friend was crushed by a plane.
After flying an ATV with C4 on it. Okay, Matt, what about you?
I've said so many. I don't know if they're useless though.
He's already
Right.
engaging in it.
So assuming it does not have resale value, because in 50 years, no one's going to give a shit about Metal Gear Solid scripts. But
No
yeah.
resale value either.
Or at least no resale value a century from now.
I wonder how much that would go for.
So it would have to be just some stupid rock from some famous guy. You know those art pieces where there's some like famous artist in LA and like Bradley Cooper came by his office and sat his naked butt on his clay while he was making it. And it sells now for like
Sells the
$10,000.
butt print.
I'll probably buy one of those. Some butt print by Bradley Cooper. Yeah.
I like that, yeah, because it would still be enjoyable. Like a Metal Gear Solid script, you would look at it and have a chuckle, but there's not really much else to do with it.
I would buy a pair of Hideo Kojima's glasses.
Ooh, yeah, I would too.
If they're not the correct prescription, then technically for me, they are
It's
useless.
useless.
Yeah, and that would also just be like the fun kind of sentimental value that only you would feel and no one else.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, not
yeah.
really. I'd be like, I'm wearing glasses and I'm now blind, but
That
Maybe
that's
I'll-
resale value. There's
I'll
resale
have
value
some,
in that.
I'll have some
Well,
essence of Kojima.
Like
infused
Kojima
with
could
me.
sell bath water. Like seriously. Like there's some resale value. in
Kojima
glasses.
OnlyFans.
That's going to go down with time over the decades. Whenever the original generation of Metal Gear Solid fans start to die off, the value will go down. Imagine a toy collector. What are they going to do during the climate wars of 2042? Are they going to be able to trade their toy collection to get entry into Germany again? I don't know.
To that point though, because Bradley Cooper's ass could have some resale value. Let's pick like the Reading Rainbow guy. His ass on some clay. I don't think there's resale value in that, right?
Yeah, but there's still like a good $15,000 laugh to be had.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Because Bradley Cooper, I feel like, is a little bit up there compared.
I'm with you.
Or Lance Reddick. Yeah.
Silly art piece just to laugh
Lance Reddick, new Wesker.
Some people come in, you see that butt print? That's the Reading Rainbow guy right there. Read
my ass.
All right, quickly, what's the next one?
Brandon P. He gave us this one. As video games have grown out of their infancy, they developed a language of interaction, like how movies have developed a language of cinematography. Gamers know they can use their left hand to control where they move and their right hand to control where they look. However, to non-gamers, this is a foreign language to them. Do you think there are any games in particular that serve as a good entry point for non-gamers to learn the basics of video game interaction? If so, what makes those games special? And do you think there's anything certain games could be doing to help non-gamers enter the medium they aren't doing already? I was inspired to ask this question when I got my mom to play Portal, Stanley Parable, and Disco Elysium, and all three were unsuccessful, painful experiences.
Pretty sure we've answered this question multiple times. We've discussed the idea of the language of video games many times. When I talked about my girlfriend finishing A Short Hike when she didn't even know how to use the camera, right? Like a game that almost literally controls the camera for you, was still a struggle. I don't think there are any perfect video games that do this correctly. I think there are a lot of entry level stuff like Mario. I mean, you can't go wrong. But to get good at it, there's the ceiling.
Everyone starts somewhere. That's what I've told people. That I was like, all right, like, you haven't played games? It's fine. Just ask. And
here's League of Legends.
Oh. That's rough. Yeah, even in bot games, people like get upset and are toxic. Like, it's just, I stopped playing it.
All the Halo footage we just saw did make me think back on how Halo like played a huge part in standardizing the left-hand move, right-hand look control scheme, and how a lot of console FPS gamers got used to a genre that was not usually very playable on consoles from that. How many little subtle things in that game pile up to make it work? It has a lot to do with like the speed of a projectile flowing through the air so you can watch it with your analog stick as you sidestep around it. Like, it takes a lot of little itty bitty things to make a game naturally feel good on its control scheme, and Halo is a good example of like a casual gamer's first FPS that still has an inherently complicated control scheme that a lot of non-gamers would have a hard time learning.
Yeah, I don't think there are any perfect games. I think maybe games like Journey and stuff like that, but even then when you play Journey, you don't really know what you're doing. So then even the controls are easy, but maybe you don't intuitively understand that video games kind of want you to figure things out for yourself. You know, when you do other things, you know, usually it tells you the rules and you have to learn these things. Games that maybe have mouse pointers are probably the easiest. You know, point and click adventure games and stuff like that might be the easiest way to get people into video games. But there's a weird, like, when we say something is video gamey or it has video game logic, it's like because it's so offset from the real world that only we kind of understand it, right? And we have that intuitive nature of learning about video games because of it. It's kind of funny.
I'm wondering why Mom had a hard time playing Disco Elysium. What do you think went wrong there? Because it has a very simple interface, simple controls, and it's also like conversations. It's not combat and split-second reaction times.
Probably because it's got game logic. Like, there's a lot going on in Disco Elysium, to be honest.
There's math.
You move around. Well, there's also just, you know, talking to people and getting around, trying to solve things out, right? Like, stuff that you wouldn't maybe expect to do, like talking to every NPC. Like, why would it make sense to talk to everybody in a town?
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, because like the idea is that you have to get information, but not everybody has information. A lot of people just have generic responses to make the world feel more alive, and you actually need to find the one specific person. But they don't actually give you a clue as to like who that person is. It's just trial and error. You keep talking, and someone will eventually guide you on to the next thing.
And I remember Matt having that same problem with the classic Fallout games, was finding the right NPC in the haystack.
Oh, yeah. I just kept clicking people.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, it's to the west. Oh, thanks.
This next question is really like triggering my bathroom reflex. Take it away. I'll be right back.
Let's hurry up. I'm leaving in 10 minutes. I don't care about you podcasters. You suck. It's all about the Nintendo Direct and Waluigi being announced for the new Super Smash Bros.
Oh, God.
Matt, Mighty Sargon says, do you reckon Rayman's willy floats off his body like his arms and legs do?
Yeah. I mean, that's why it's not there, right? It's like in his pocket or something. He can like move it, like he moves his arms, right?
Well, you can like readjust it, just like.
Readjust it, yeah.
Do you reckon he can do like the spinning thing he can do with his hands for the punch?
Yeah,
like
probably.
And then he does this, and then he like inserts it into places. Like,
For
winds
Rayman,
up.
size doesn't really matter, right?
Doesn't matter, no, yeah.
Because he could just go.
I'm of the even though canon, according to that advertisement back in the day,
Yeah.
he does have a willy. I'm of the mind that I don't think he has one.
How does he pee?
How does the blood go from his hands to his brain?
What does he eat?
What is it, like Loomis or whatever they're called? The things that he collects?
They are. Yeah, the little like fairies from Zelda.
Yeah, I think he eats them.
That's brutal. If my willy could float, I would definitely just float my willy away into the bathroom so I wouldn't have to get up when drinking through my coffee on the podcast. It would really, really be nice if I could just like clench a muscle really hard and it would just float into the other room by itself and then come back.
That would solve a lot of our problems on the podcast of you disappearing. You could just like do what Matt says and detach it or like float it over there, and you could kind of throw it towards the bathroom.
I think the facial expression will still be there, so he'll be at the camera, all of a sudden being very quiet and going.
Can you imagine? What? He just goes,
like, "Are you peeing right now, George?"
And yeah, he's like,
"Yeah."
What if that's what the UAPs creepy. And the UFOs are? Maybe the aliens can detach their willies, and so you just see a little white oval floating through the sky.
Oh my god, that's a big willy.
Maybe it was Rayman's penis all along.
Oh, do. Out of all the things, Rayman is real.